You guys, I scared myself pretty good in backcountry Idaho, and I want to talk about it. I was editing this sequence for the long form version of epic adventure into backcountry Idaho I did last week, and I figured it was kind of hard for me to kind of integrate this without telling the full story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this without edits. There will be cuts between cameras, but it's going to be straight from takeoff all the way to landing back at the Sky Park on the Salmon River of Idaho. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play it. So here we are getting ready to blast as a single ship. So I guess that's the first thing is, you know, nobody else was flying that afternoon. A couple people had departed, but nobody was doing local missions. They were just kind of hanging out and, you know, reconnecting as old friends. I'm kind of the newbie to the group. And I wanted to fly, and it was getting towards afternoon. It's about 2 p.m. here, and I think that was one of the other reasons why nobody was flying, is they knew better. And they mentioned that it gets a little bit bumpy in the afternoon, but hey, windsock was calm right there. What could go wrong? So it took off, and we'll get more into that in a second. But essentially what we're doing here, we're taking off single ship, going up to Wilson Bar, just a few miles up the Salmon River. Land there, and then check out Mackay Bar, fly over it. It's a private airstrip, and then come on back to the Sky Park here. I'm not mentioning the name of the Sky Park just out of respect for the owners there. I can't get a hold of them. They're fishing in Alaska to ask if I can say the name. You can figure out where it is.
Mackay Bar, experimental overflying. I'm heading upstream to Wilson Bar.
As we're just kind of flying upstream there, looking for Wilson Bar and a place to turn around. It's a one way in, one way out, as a lot of strips are in backcountry Idaho, from what I hear. You want to land downstream at Wilson Bar and then take off upstream. So I wanted to look for some turning room, which I'll get to that here in a second. But I'm talking about this at risk to myself, right? There's not a huge upside for talking about there I was stories. Seems like these days, especially with, you know, everything going on with Trent and everything else. So, which I will probably make another video on that, but I digress. But I earn my living with my certificates, but I firmly believe in there's Wilson Bar right there off my left. I believe in sharing stories. This kind of reminds me back when I, you know, would do something stupid in a fighter squadron, and your DO or your squadron commander would make you, or weapons officer would make you stand up on Friday and and tell your lesson learned. Even if it wasn't stupid, but it was a lesson learned, close call or something. You'd stand up and share it with everybody, not only to spread the word in the squadron, but also just to make sure that you are humble and have that lesson driven home to you. So not that I, you know, screwed up anything per se, and I just think that there's a lot to learn here, and I kind of want to document my crawl, walk, run approach to backcountry flying, and I'm barely crawling right now. You could argue that I might be biting off a little bit more than I can chew as single ship flying to a Wilson Bar I've never been to. Here I am flying the turnaround, the mountain turnaround. And again, I'm not a CFI. I was an instructor in another world, but but for turning around, I found that
Wilson Bar, experimental 3 Charlie Delta, just upriver 1 mile, inbound land downstream.
You know, higher up is good. You're going to have a lot more horizontal turning room, right? Because the mountains are wider higher up when you're in a drainage. And then also higher up is good because you can turn some horizontal turning room into vertical turning room and tighten up that turn circle. So, and still just learning the performance of this airplane that I just got out of phase 1 test flying, which, oh, by the way, my task-based flight test series has been slightly delayed because I lost all of my content on a hard drive that crashed, so I'm recreating everything. So thanks for your patience on that. And of course, I'm a little bit distracted
Uphill.
with backcountry flying. Okay, so yeah, I'm talking about the approach here, uphill.
Motor.
Okay, floated it a little bit, but not too bad. It's uphill. pretty drastically uphill at the end of the ski ramp there. You flip around and turn around and take off the other way. But let me foreshadow kind of what I'm working with as far as the aircraft goes, and what's going to lead into some of my scary moments at the Sky Park here in a few minutes. So I was getting some errors in my pitot-static system, and I replaced my ADAHRS and G5, and I'm getting quite different airspeeds, and that's all well and good because they're actually lower. But I haven't recalibrated my AOA system, so that's what that beeping is. You're probably familiar with the beeps. They're not quite consistent.
Experimental 3 Charlie Delta is taking off upstream and heading up this river about 2 miles.
After I installed the new ADAHRS and G5, it kind of threw the AOA system out of whack, and I still haven't configured it. So that's a little bit confusing to me because it's not as consistent as it was before. So that leads me to kind of want to carry a little bit extra knots. So that's the AOA and ADAHRS system. The other major thing that I have going on right now is I'm battling a low end throttle, meaning my idle is only about 1,000 RPM. It was about 900, but it's been creeping up to about 1,000. And I think I have an air intake leak somewhere because I'm all the way at idle on my throttle. Butterfly valve is closed, so I think the induction system is getting some air somewhere else, and I have an idea. I think I have a bad gasket that I've got to swap out. But the end result of that is that I thought that this plane was just so slippery. It is slippery. It's a fast airplane, and it doesn't like to slow down. But it's exacerbated by the fact that I can't pull the throttle below 1,000 on the ground. And so what does that mean? When I'm flying, it's like 1,300, 1,200, 1,300 RPM. So I can't slow down effectively. So I am slipping it in and just not able to slow down effectively. And in the backcountry, that's horrible. So I didn't really, know these things until looking at this video and thinking about, putting my thoughts together. So you're gonna see me try to land at the Sky Park once, and then I'll go around and we'll just kind of enjoy the scenery as as we get down there. We took the jet boats up here, and there was a awesome, actually it was a few more miles upstream, maybe 15 more miles upstream.
Most of our traffic, experimental 3 Charlie Delta, high-wing single ship is 1 mile upstream, going to overfly the field, then Mackay Bar 2.
But there was some hot springs that were awesome. There's some naked ladies in there, so I didn't videotape much of that, but got some good footage of the jet boat. So going back downstream, had enough fun for the day. Winds are still feeling pretty good. Nothing crazy. I'm not nervous at all right now. I'm feeling great. This is fantastic. Looking forward to celebrating a friend's birthday tonight, having a couple beers. And there's Wilson Bar again.
Backcountry, experimental 3 Charlie Delta at the top Wilson Bar, headed downstream. 4.
You guys, while we're just flying along here, I want to announce that Continental Motors has invited the Backcountry Bogey and me to show off the bogey at Oshkosh AirVenture 2024. So thank you so much to Continental. They've also offered for me to give away
Wild horses down there.
Give away 4 passes.
Mackay Bar, experimental 3 Charlie Delta, overflying downstream for.
So 4 passes, so help me reply in the comments if you have an idea of how best I can give away those passes to Oshkosh. But thanks to Continental for that. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, here's the confluence. So looking upstream of the South Fork. I don't notice anything squirrely right now because my plan is just to kind of overfly, shop the field, just make sure that nobody's on the field, look at the windsocks. Obviously, I know that there's no water on the field, but just kind of overfly, check it out, make sure the guys aren't flying their RC airplanes, nobody's taxiing out. They heard me on the radio. I would anticipate somebody singing out if there was an issue, but I probably should make another radio call here. So I was told this is a one-way in, one-way out strip, and in hindsight, I think with the performance of this bogey...
Bogey 3 Charlie Delta is on our overcrossing south side, and for a left downwind for upstream landing.
So the winds are picking up right now. I know this now. I didn't know it at the time. So potential, if there is a strong tailwind, the normal landing direction, which is upstream, I do think with the tight turn performance of this airplane that an upwind landing would be possible downstream. So here I am downwind to approaching base, and turn base over this little knoll over the confluence. Here we go to idle there. Just trying to get my airspeed under control. I've got some flaps in. I'm turning base. And that got my attention. And that got my attention. I unload the airplane. And I'm still in the full stall AOA tones. So I'm slipping like a big dog. I'm trying to scrub those knots that I was unable to get rid of earlier because I was in the full stall according to my AOA tones. And I'm just not able to do it, exacerbated by the high idle. And so I push it up, I go around. Clearly not really a good time to turn around quite here, so just kind of follow the river upstream till I gain some altitude. Can fly over that other knoll to the south there, swing it on around, attempt it again. This is just gorgeous. So this direction, I'm flying down the runway. So this is what I mean is I think, you know, if you just fly, you know, further up the river, just follow the river, get your airspeed under control, and you can make that turn right there. There's a little dog leg that you can land on or just straighten it out right there and then put it down. You got plenty of room, especially with a headwind. I mean, look at this sock. So I've just kind of committed to landing with a tailwind, and that's okay. There's plenty of room for me to do that as long as my airspeed is under control. Ground speed is going to be higher, but airspeed is just hard for me to get under control. So this is where I'm a little bit putting myself out there. I shouldn't have flown up that strip. I should have just kept it a little more standard downwind rather than doing this kind of teardrop, because right here again I'm getting into that full stall AOA. You know, the swirling winds in this confluence are just got me rattled. And so here I am high and fast again, and I'm like, well, it's not changing. So if I were to do this again, just go out, wait for the winds to calm down, talk to somebody on the radio, get the ground truth of what actually is going on, and then come up with a better game plan. Because right now I'm just committed to landing fast. I'm slipping, like, trying to get this airspeed under control, and I am just going to bounce my way down the runway and just oh God, embarrass the heck out of myself. But I mean, my heart rate is just going a million miles an hour because I didn't think about my other options.
Ooh, winds were swirly.
Yeah, they were.
That was not fun.
Yeah, you can say that again. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this airplane stopped. Like, that is not a good option. You got to come up with other options. So to recap, wait for a gust to finish gusting, because that gust was there for a while, 5, 10, 15 minutes. A squall is gonna roll through. If it doesn't, then come up with another option to land the opposite direction. Go back to Wilson Bar, shut down for a while, put your feet in the water, use your little device and get in touch with the guys back at the ranch and let me know when the wind is calming down. So you can see I'm massaging my arm. I just recovered some shoulder surgery, so there's just a lot of little things that are just adding to the ORM, the operational risk management of this thing. So I scared myself, and again, I feel comfortable in sharing these things with you in hopes that you won't make the same mistakes. I don't think that, I didn't bust any FARs, so I just, maybe lost a little street cred from my bros and all of you guys, but anyway, it is a serious thing, backcountry flying, and I've got so much respect for all the folks who do it a lot better than me, which is almost everybody, but I'll get there. So that's about all I wanted to say. Thanks again for watching. Till next time, it's Steve. You're cleared direct.